You're listening to the Stream Grace Network.
Thanks for joining us on The Three. Pat, Sharon, and Lori are three friends who have a lot to say, with transparency and a little humor. We are sponsored by Oneness Ministries. You can connect with us at oneness-ministries.org/podcasts. Be sure to follow the link to our Insider Facebook page. So enjoy a conversation from a place of hope, freedom, and grace.
Here we are.
Sonya was giggling before we got started, so that was her.
Oh, yeah, we're going to put it on her. What made you giggle?
Yeah.
Three friends who have a lot to say. That is the understatement of the whole podcast.
You know us, don't you?
That's the understatement.
So this is our friend, Sonya Brunner.
Yes.
Who we've had on before, but it's been a long time, and we wanted to have you back. And I feel like we've gotten to know you just a little bit better lately. And we respect what you do and your heart.
I'm thankful for that.
Don't laugh. It's true. And so we wanted to have you back on because you are passionate and what you do is valuable, and we want to share you with our audience. Mm-hmm. And you have a podcast as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Called
Crud Talk.
Crud
We talk about crud.
And the name of your ministry is?
50 Shades of Grace.
Nice.
That is the coolest name ever.
I want to take credit for it, but the Lord gave that to me, and I was like, "You're brill." And then all the movies came out like a month later. I was like,
seriously? That was
really
that close
brilliant.
together?
Yep, it was
wow.
brilliant. Yep.
Well, it fits with what you do, which we'll hear more about.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, tell us what you do.
Okay, what do I do? Mm-hmm. Basically, I am a gigantic cheerleader for Jesus in people's lives. That's really what I do. I would call myself a first responder. So when doo-doo hits the fan in people's lives, they call me. Let's call Sonya. I think the reason that happens is because they know they're going to get an honest response. They're going to get joy and truth, but hope too. Right. You know what I mean? So... yeah, I'm the first responder.
What is it that people call you about? Because you have a specific
it's a broad
gift.
topic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So my gift is to be able to help people deal with their crud. And what a lot of people think crud is sin. Crud isn't sin. Crud is the leftover emotions from when we've been hurt by another human being. And so if you don't deal with crud, that's what layers up, right? That's the stuff that layers, and that's what is going to come out. That will be our response when hard things happen in our lives. And so most of the people I deal with are struggling because they have never dealt with the crud or they don't know how to.
Right.
Okay? And so I help people who are hurting, and that can be anything from physical abuse or sexual abuse. It can be a loss of a child. It could be... I just never felt good enough. It could be anything that has hurt us. My mother loved my brother better. You know what I mean? So like I just wasn't, I'm struggling. And so I help people deal with the pain in their past and how to walk through that in victory so they're not stuck. So that's what I do.
Okay. You deal with, we all deal with different things with people because obviously we're a counseling ministry as well, but the stuff that you do tends to be more, when you say first responder, that's it. And it tends to be, some of the stuff you've told us about is a little more traumatic and urgent and life-threatening sometimes. Sometimes you are on the front line. We may see them later, but you're kind of there when it's happening and then for them afterwards.
Yeah. My husband, Rick, is a bivocational pastor, and he has really put the kibosh on some of my first responder activities. I used to just get in my minivan. A lady would call me and say, my boyfriend's beaten me, and I'd put a baseball bat in the minivan and go pick her up.
Wow.
And
your husband had a problem with that?
Yeah, shocker. And so part of it is I think more highly of myself than I ought to, and that I'm a lot tougher than I am. Although if I'm a betting girl, if I did gamble, I would bet on me every day and keep going. But he kind of put the kibosh on that, and I deal with all kinds of things. Like I think I've shared with you guys before. We work in the local church, serve in the local church, love the local church, even in all its flaws, we've talked a lot about that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a missionary there a lot of weeks. And so I will have, let's say, we have a lot of grandparents who are raising their children, their grandchildren, and maybe their kids are incarcerated. And so they're raising the grandkids, right? And I will, it's not uncommon for me to be met at the door coming in on a Sunday. My dad's hurting me. I need to talk to you. And grandma and I and the child go into a room and we talk and talk through, and here's what, and I have to offer hope. I have to listen. And the here's why. People say, why do you do that? Here's the why. Here's the why for me. When the 8-year-old says, will I be okay? And I can say, you better believe it. And not have it all be this, the action of the sexual abuse or the physical abuse, this doom and gloom. I can smile at them and say, absolutely.
Yes.
It's going to be hard work, but you can do it. And you can choose to be anything you want to be.
That's good.
And that's why I do what I do. And, you know, that's at the kid level. And it's kind of the same, don't you think, for adults, don't you think?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's
Yes.
really what we do. We offer encouragement and hope.
And that's true.
Yeah.
And it's the truth because there is hope with Christ.
Right.
So it's not just a nice thing to say.
Right.
It's a true thing to say.
Yeah. And I definitely get into the dark, you know, like you were referring to. I get into the darker topics. Definitely, you know, my story is I am a human traffic survivor. So we talk a lot about human trafficking, but more so sexual abuse and physical abuse. You know, it's 1 in 4 girls are hurt
Wow.
by the age of 18, 1 in 6 boys. Wow. And so when you look down, you know, just look shopping at Walmart and look at all the people there and count out, you know, that sometime when you're going down the aisle, that is shocking. You know what I mean? So it's the impact, the ripple effect of sexual sin. It just has permeated everything. And Satan loves that. You know what I mean? He loves it. And so, you know, sex is unlike any kind of drug that there is. And so Satan knows that. He's not dumb. So he's using that to really
Sonya,
hurt people.
you were telling us earlier about your last podcast. Would you talk a little bit about talking about
Apparently she ruffled some feathers, so
Pat is chomping at the bit over this one. She just cannot. She just like,
Yes.
She wants to open
think
it up and
Woo!
air it out.
yeah.
But I think it's
Let's do
so,
it.
I think it's so important.
It
And I don't
is.
think it's things that people really realize. I don't think mothers or whatever are attending harm, but it's they need to be awakened to what they're doing.
All right. Well, tell us what that is.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so July 30th is World Day Against Trafficking Persons. Okay, so that every July 30th. And so my podcast was referencing human trafficking. Came out yesterday, and I have a superpower that I didn't know I have. I tick people off.
Or it could be a spiritual gift.
I think it is. We have it sometimes too.
And
It's
I
all-
like calling it a spiritual
It
gift.
is.
It's all perception, right?
Yeah.
So I knew when I did that. In fact, when my husband called me yesterday after listening in the morning and said, wow, you're really riling them up. And so I knew then that, yeah, if he says that, then I know I am.
Then you did good.
I did good. So
Yes.
basically I talked about human trafficking, but the thing that I wanted to talk about was, what can we do? Everybody asked me, Sonya, human trafficking, the sound of freedom. Everyone's talking about it, right? Which, praise the Lord, everyone's talking about it. That's what we want, right? And so we don't need to worry about what they did or didn't do in the movie or what they portrayed. There's all kinds of forms of human trafficking. I'm celebrating the fact that everybody's talking about it, and now I can talk about what I do to help people. So one of the things I talked about in my podcast yesterday was, what can we do? We can stop being a consumer. Okay? We can stop being a consumer. We can stop
Wow.
posting pictures of our children in seductive poses.
Yes.
And that was like, what? What are you talking about? What does that have to do with human trafficking? Human
And
trafficking.
who's doing that?
So
Lori's holding it in over there.
how many moms have posted pictures of their beautiful children, girls specifically, in dance costumes or tons of makeup, or highly suggestive, sexy poses. Okay. I'm not judging, although in my tone, you guys are probably thinking she's really judging everybody.
She's passionate.
I'm
Passionate.
about the negative effects
And
of
she
this.
kind of knows
Yes.
what she's talking about.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay, so here's where I'm coming from, everybody. If you've seen the movie, that's just one piece. You know that CSAM, I want everybody to get used to that, CSAM, child sexual abuse material. A lot of people refer to that as child porn. There is no such thing. Pornography would indicate a choice. Children, they don't have a choice. They're not choosing to be photographed and videotaped at these horrible things that are being done to their little bodies. Okay. But what the dark web does, I can just see people's brains are going, what is the dark web? You don't want to know. You just need to know that there is evil in the world. Yeah. And there's a place that these pictures end up, okay? You might have heard about AI technology. AI,
Just a little bit.
yeah,
Just like all the time. It's
it's just it's right. And so what happens now is these pictures that we are posting on social media, any platform, your password does not protect anything. When you post it, you have given the rights away. You're going to say, "Oh no, I don't." Yes, you have. When you've posted it publicly, those rights are gone. If you have a website, those rights are gone. Anyone can lift those pictures or those videos of your cute little girls dancing and their little poses and their sexy poses and all the things that they've done. Wow. And they can use that for their sexual gratification and financial gain, and they are doing it. Okay?
That's heavy to think about.
70 million files were found. 70 million files were found in 2019. It's way higher than that. It's way higher than that now. How many of us have posted the pictures of our kids on social media? I've done it.
Yes.
Not in sexy poses.
Not in sexy poses. No.
Or dance costumes.
No, they're probably picking their nose or something like that. Like, hey, I'm a winner. That's me. But they wore clothes that day, so yay, that was good. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, we are doing this.
Well, photographs can be manipulated anyway, even if it wasn't a sexy pose.
That's correct. That's correct. And so I saw many moms I know, many moms I don't know, posting these graphic, explicit pictures. People are like, that's gone too far, Sonya. That's not what it is. Yes, it is. I have the mind of a human trafficker. And what I mean by that is I was trafficked. I was photographed. I was videotaped of men raping me, of men torturing me, all kinds of things. I was photographed doing kid things because, believe it or not, there are men who are attracted to kids sexually.
Yeah.
And they wanted the innocence. You saw it in the movie, and I love the way that they did portray that because that was just a taste of what that was, and we all need to know that because our little bubbles, you guys, we just can't even get our brains around it. Yeah. And I want to say this too. Praise God, I can't get my brain around it. Praise God that we can't get our brain around it. I pray that I never can because it's too evil to even contemplate.
Yes.
And so I mentioned what they could do. Mom, stop posting that. Parents, stop posting the pictures of that. And my question was, and this is what got everybody riled up. Tell me why that kid would have to pose in a sexy pose with a come hither look on their face, with all kinds of makeup that's not their natural state, with very, very suggestive, skin tight costumes, lots of skin showing, looking into the camera like, come and get me. Why? That's the question. And people went crazy for it. They're, of course, when you get confronted with something, you are going to justify it. You're going to try to talk. You're going to try to explain your way out of it.
Did anybody give you an answer?
We should not
mind your own business.
Yeah, basically, we should not. Our girls, we should teach girls, and our girls should not have to worry about what they wear. I said in my podcast, I understand that it's not about what a person wears, what a person doesn't wear, what a person looks like, what a person doesn't look like. I clarified that. No one should be hurt or touched ever based on those criteria. Ever. However, I know what they do with those images. I know what they are going, what this technology now is going to do. They literally can lift off the face of this beautiful girl that you love, that you've posted because she's your little girl and she's done such a great job in her dance group and she's doing great. And they are going to use that in a sex AI inspired way to help them get off. Can I say that on your show? I'm sorry, I just did. To help them get off, and the traffickers are going to sell that, and they are going to make money because that's what it's about.
I think we call that exploitation.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay. So that's so
And
I have I hate to say this, but it's true. I have skin in the game. I have skin literally in this game because those pictures of me are somewhere. We didn't even have what the hackers and the pedophiles have now.
Right.
But I just remember being mortified at watching these men, what they were doing while watching me on film. Like it wasn't enough to even hurt me. They had physical contact with me, but they would watch that because that's the addiction of pornography. That's the addiction of. So
I'm sorry you got pushed back, but I'm glad you did it
thanks.
because I think it's important. And I like you said, I don't think the mothers mean anything by it. They're not trying to
They're just
harm
not
their
aware.
kids. They're
Right.
not aware, and I think they need to be aware
Right. Right.
that a little girl in a costume that shows a lot of her body,
It's not healthy.
it's not healthy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. What does it tell the child?
Well-
What message does it even send to the child when they're
Right.
dressed that way?
Well,
Right.
we were talking before we started that, you know, I had a daughter that was in dance for a long time, and the studio that she was at, the teacher, the owner was very careful about what they wear. They had cute little costumes, but they were not like you're talking about.
Right.
They were
And
probably kid appropriate.
they were
right?
kid appropriate. They were very cute, and they did not do, you know,
Suggestive dance
they
movements.
did not.
Or poses.
In fact, she was adamantly like that. No, we are not doing that. But we would go to competitions, and it was everywhere. It was. They were.
I remember this. I feel like I'm the oldest one on this podcast.
In the whole building, Pat.
Oh wow!
Shut up, Lori.
I need some popcorn.
But I remember entering our son into a baby contest, beautiful baby contest. And this is like back in the 70s. And it was remarkable even back then what parents would do to try to make their children beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just-
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, the parents,
Never again.
the mothers don't, you know, they don't know. They like we talked about, we can't get our minds wrapped around it. We hope we never can. I think
Right.
sometimes they don't either. You know, they're thinking, you know, like you said, my daughter's beautiful and look at that. And she's so cute.
Yes.
And
And shame on those people if they're going to do something bad. Shame on the other people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Right.
But when that child, you're their protector. When that you're not even giving that child a choice.
Yes.
You're not. You're
That's
you're
right.
you're making the choice for them, and those images are out there, and they're never. You know, you can't.
well,
get
it's
them
just
back.
unnecessary. It doesn't have to happen. You can post, you know, you can have pictures of your kids. There's a thing called, there's privacy. There's, you know, or don't put it on the internet at all. Or, you know, there are things that you can do to kind of protect it. Because I've picked pictures off of Facebook for, like, if we've had somebody on the podcast and I want to
Exactly.
post their picture on the, you know, and I can lift them off if they're public domain. You can lift anything off.
Yes.
So
Right.
Just be
maybe just don't
careful.
do that.
And even if they're not public domain, they're hackers. They're technical.
Yeah, they're gonna
geniuses.
find a
That's
way
true.
around it.
Hackers.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So-
So we can change subjects.
Okay.
Right?
I don't know. Are you done with that?
Well,
Or
you don't-
You want
yeah.
more to say about that?
Well, then I talked about the transgender issue, which is not transgender issue. Then I talked about that on the podcast,
Okay,
and
well-
the people were like, "What does that have to do with human trafficking?"
Go ahead, go for it.
I bet it
Here's what I
does.
want to say: don't forget your thought, Miss Pat, because you're brilliant. You just intimidate me.
Oh,
What did
stop.
I say?
Don't do
Don't ask
that.
me anything about the Bible because Pat's going to be there.
I don't.
Don't grow her head any
love
bigger.
Jesus.
Don't do
There's not a lot
that.
of space over here.
No.
Oh, Jesus.
Thanks, guys. I love you people too.
Bless your heart.
We love you, Pat, but we're not going to encourage you.
You don't.
No,
Go ahead.
The other thing I had mentioned, what can we do to help human trafficking? What can we do? We can stop and vote the laws that are passing now for child consent. Okay? And it starts with we're going to give children rights to be anything they want to be, identify anything they want to be.
No.
Sexually speaking, they are going to identify with whatever gender they want to be. It starts with that. Here's the slope, and we're already there. It is a pedophile's dream, these laws. Here's why. If a child can consent, and I gave an example on the podcast, let's just say it's a 10-year-old biological boy who wants to be a girl, okay? And then that 10-year-old biological boy who is now acting as a girl meets a man who's 27 years old and wants to have sex with the 27-year-old. Is it far-fetched to assume that that particular 27-year-old man would then say, this child gave consent, and the law protects minor attracted people now, and therefore we have no skin in the game, we have no recourse, parents would have no input at all. There are states that have passed it. And Christians are worried about transgender. That is not the issue. The issue is the laws. The issue is the laws that are being passed, because what's going to happen? What does a human trafficker do? They coerce and they force by the use of threats, okay? Or however there's many ways. But is it far removed to think that a trafficker could look at a little girl, little boy, and say, you're going to say this or I'm going to kill your family?
Wow.
Why am I saying that? Because that happened to me. My trafficker said, if you say anything, I'm going to hurt your mom. And he did. He beat her to a pulp many times in front of me to let me know, you better watch yourself, because I'm going to follow through with what I say. Wow. That's the threat. That's what human trafficking is. It's the threat of action, and they don't even just threaten it. They will beat them. They will hurt them. They do all kinds of stuff. So these laws that they're passing, we have to be really careful that we don't shy away from politics. Okay, we've been told, we can't get into, we're just Jesus. No, we need Christians in that. We need to all be paying attention to that and learning as much as we can about what laws. Oklahoma has the law up for debate, and I think they've passed on certain levels. They've already passed it.
Really?
And people don't even know.
Really? I'm really shocked about that.
Yep. You need
that the governor would be allowing that.
You need to go back and look. That passed where they can do gender identity is already passed.
In Oklahoma?
Yes. I think so.
I thought
Did they throw it out?
I think that they voted it down. But
Okay,
let's double check.
Yeah, everybody who listens to this, double check.
Yeah.
Don't hold them accountable. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. But just, and actually, if it makes you go look, that's kind of a goal.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can I
that's good.
try to verbalize what I think you're saying?
Yes.
And that is, if the laws are passed that children can give permission,
Can give consent.
Consent.
Yeah, that's the big word.
to
Yeah.
give consent, then that means traffickers don't have to threaten necessarily. I mean, if a child says okay,
At some point, the child is going to say, no, I'm not, I know.
Okay, so let me back up. I hear what you're asking. What it's saying is we're starting with identity. I want to be different than I am. I want to identify as something different. And the laws are saying we're going to take away parental rights for that. The kids should be able to say whatever they want.
right.
What a trafficker is hoping for and praying for is that the laws then would keep them out of prosecution and conviction, because all they have to do is look at the girls or the boys that they've trafficked, the prostitutes, anybody, and say, you're going to say that you gave consent, and if you don't say it, you're going to get it.
okay, so they would still threaten.
So they would still threaten, because
So they'll be on the right side of the law because they technically gave consent.
yeah, because I'm telling you,
okay, so
a
they
little
would
girl
be free
doesn't-
from prosecution.
a little girl, a teenager, does not come into the world and think, I want to be pimped by somebody. I want to be having sex with 40 guys a day, right?
Right.
So we know
Yikes.
they're not going to truly attend. And Pat, here's the other side of it. Can a 10-year-old possibly make permanent decisions in their
No.
fragile, emotional,
No.
partly formed brain?
No,
They're
that's
not
why
even
they-
fully developed.
That's why God designed for them to have parents.
Thank you. So anyway, that caused you are discriminatory. Yep. And yes, I guess I am. I'm discriminatory to anything that would hurt a kid.
Right.
And I think that's hurting a kid. So, yep, that's it.
And giving a child the power to consent at 10 is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole nother
That's a whole
issue when you go to kids giving consent for things. So
16 and under is what they're doing. California has passed.
Oh, well, of course they
Denver,
have.
Colorado passed. Yep, there's several states, but
I'd be shocked to know that because our governor's pretty conservative, and he's been doing some pretty, especially regarding the whole transgender stuff.
Well, they said I'm pretty sure, almost positive, that they have said no, that the transgender surgeries are not happening
Right.
under 18. So maybe that's the thing I'm thinking about, but. We'll all, that's everybody's homework. Go double check and make sure in Oklahoma or in your state that this stuff isn't happening.
for sure.
And I just want to say thank you for being bold.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And courageous. And for speaking out, Sonya.
Yes. It's a difficult
really
topic,
important,
but it's
and it is.
important.
And I just am appreciative that there's a voice out there.
Yeah. Again, I'm not picking on anybody's choices here. What I'm saying is somebody has to stand up for the kids.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm
Children need to be protected.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what were you going to say, Pat?
Well, you were also, last time we had a conversation talking about what you want to do next.
You guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, we asked you and you said, sure, I'll talk
Okay.
about anything you want.
It's true.
It is
I can't
true.
lie. I want to say, no, I didn't. But that's not true. Okay. So, what do I want to say about that? Okay. So part of what I do is I go out and I help people deal with their crud. And I have a way that I do that, a way that the Lord has shown me how to do that. I call those crud boot camps, okay? And I have taught this, spoken about this in conferences. I've done all of that, okay, for years and years. I do girls' conferences. I do women's conferences. I had my first prison jail ministry boot camp, crud boot camp. And we had 15 people saved, 15 men saved, including a prison guard. So that was really eye-opening. Excuse me. And the thing about what I do is people have had access to me for a long time. I'm the first responder. They call, they contact me, and they reach out and they think, okay, number one, it's going to be real. Number two, she's going to listen and not judge. Number three, we're going to get biblical counsel back, right? Okay? All Christians can do that. I believe all Christians can do that. Some are better at it than others.
Some are called to certain things and some are not.
Lori's like, oh, you're going away. I don't want you to go. You're saying something I don't want you to say.
No, I'm just saying some of us are not equipped to do the first responder stuff that you
Right.
do.
Correct.
That's right.
Correct.
Because we have different gifts.
Gifting, yes.
So
And that's
don't
beautiful.
feel like, everybody that's a believer has to go out and do what Sonya does.
Oh, no. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, no.
Not that you're saying, I'm just.
Yeah, that's good. So the question became, I got certified as a life coach, and I didn't say a lot about that to people because I had some advice or some words, strong words, that said, make sure you don't call yourself a counselor. And as I have been working with people for decades,
Yeah.
I have counseled people, okay? I am not a licensed therapist, never have claimed to be a licensed therapist. However, in talking with other counsel,
Who shall remain nameless.
If you can't tell by the laughter who she's talking about.
so, and the man behind the curtain over here.
That's our producer.
Yes. So, and there were a couple other people that kind of shared your sentiment about that. And just praying about it too. The last time we had talked, something that really jumped out at me was he is the wonderful counselor. We were talking about that. And the biblical definition of counselor is what? Encourager. And the number one thing, if you could have Sonya, encourager, Brunner, that's what I do. I encourage other people. I cheer for other people, right?
Yeah.
And so when we talked about that, the Lord was like, I want you to see this here. Quit worrying about the title and just do what I've asked you to do and put it out there.
Good.
And so part of the dragging my feet was fear. Okay, fear of getting started with that. Fear of rejection. Okay, they've had access to me free. Now I'm going to start charging my life coaching fees, right? Okay, there was all of that in there, and that was crud, and I needed to deal with the crud because I don't just tell people to deal with it. I actually do deal with it. That's literally how I am probably not either dead or in prison. So, like, I feel like that was part of it, and he used you guys for that.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm really thankful for that.
We were glad to be a part.
Yeah,
it was a good talk.
It was super cool, and I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't want to know about you guys too. But we won't talk about that. We won't.
We might have to end quickly so we can hear what kind of bribe stuff does she have on us.
They have really interesting verbiage. They have colorful verbiage that my virgin ears have never heard before.
They've never heard before.
Yeah. No, it was super fun, and I can't even look at Pat the same. And so I love her I loved her before, but I love her so much now that I'm like, not only is she a rock star on just things Jesus, but like sailors, you just don't have anything really on Miss Pat. And so like I'm
glad she said it about you.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
I just remember the first time I ever used.
Don't say it, please. Don't say it on my pod when I'm on the guest.
We're not.
Please don't.
No explicit.
Pastor Rick, who's going to listen to this?
Where's
be
the
like,
bleep?
what?
Where's the bleep
Oh
button?
yeah, I got the bleep button.
Whatever.
You were saying
for my podcast, I so need it.
Lori will show you how to get it.
Okay, that's awesome.
yes.
It freed up the group to be more real. That's all I was going to say.
True, it works every time.
It's beneficial.
Yeah, I don't curse, but I'll say things like asteroids, or I'll say, because I love it. It's just so fun to say. Or I'll say, sweet mother of Abraham Lincoln.
Or how about shut the front door?
There you go.
Yes, I love that one.
You want to say something? I'll bleep it.
No, no. Because Rick is going to listen. He's going to be like, I told you guys he gives me the evil eye. Not your Rick, but my Rick.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, you shouldn't have talked like that.
You tell him.
Okay,
tell him you'll talk about that later.
Tell him you don't shit on me.
Yes.
What? Okay, so. Oh, my word. You guys are getting me in so much trouble.
It just disintegrates.
Yeah, no, totally. And this is who I got my godly counsel on, everyone.
You added us, so we
That's it.
win.
No,
That's
totally
right.
awesome. I love
That's
it.
right.
I love it. So, in all of that, the Lord really dealt with my heart, and I just started posting verbiage, started talking about everything that I'm posting, my little short videos. I think I was telling you,
Yes.
I've really quadrupled my views, and it's
awesome.
been really good. It's
that's
really
incredible.
the Lord's honoring that. People like the short product a lot. People like a long podcast too, and I have that. That's what I offer too, but they like the shorts as well because we're so, and with the captions and everything on, it's been really great. So, so in all of that, I have added the word counselor.
Yay.
Say it loud.
Counselor.
Counselor.
If you counsel, then you're a counselor.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm the encourager.
I mean, there's a place for licensed counseling for sure.
Absolutely.
But we're
so thankful for them too.
There are gifts that God gives you to be an encourager or a counselor, and we've had formal training. You've had training, just different
On the job training.
on the job training. So you don't have to be ashamed if that's something that God gifted you with.
Yes.
Right.
Then do it and say it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so
And I think a part of counseling is reconciliation, and that's what you do too.
yeah.
You
Yep.
help people with their crud come to a place of being reconciled to themselves and to God.
Yeah, that's a cool way to say it. See,
Yeah.
that's Miss Pat. And no foul words were
With
used.
no
in this.
expletives.
Yeah, that's great.
Not till we shut the cameras off.
I just love you guys.
If anybody out there is wondering, come have lunch with us sometimes.
That's what happens.
yes.
See what happens?
Yes.
Yeah, I just
Sonya
want to
took
say,
us up on that.
Wow, I did, and
Yeah.
that's what kind of started it all. Yeah, that's what started it. So
Good.
We're so proud.
We are. We're glad to know you, and we're gonna help put you in touch with some people that we know.
Yes.
oh yeah, I love that.
So if you need Sonya, how do people get a hold of you?
You can reach me at sonyabrunner.com.
It's BRUNNER.
Yep.
Sonya with a
S-O-
Y.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, guys, how about that?
And gals.
That was
And gals.
wonderful.
Well, guys is inclusive. I'm being inclusive.
So now we can have the after talk.
Yes, we can.
With no cameras or recording happening.
No. So that was good. Thank you, Sonya,
Thank you,
so
Sonya.
much.
Thank you for having me.
And I mean, call Sonya. She's got a heart for people,
Yes.
and she's real. And don't be afraid. She knows all your crud anyway.
She's a great resource.
Yeah.
Especially if you're stuck.
Yeah.
If you find yourself stuck, call me.
Yes.
Reach out.
All right. So thanks.
Thank